Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. And woo, we got a trade going. This is
We-
I am with Ethan, who is currently driving at the moment. Obviously, that's why you will probably hear the disembodied voice, also known as Ethan, making sure
Yeah, or
he's
if you hear any road rage, just give me a pass.
yeah, at least. But yeah, this is an emergency podcast. This is literally the day of by far the biggest trade, not only in your redraft leagues, your fantasy, like in every single aspect of fantasy football, we have one of the most important trades happening. And let's start off with this. I'll just name off the trade. The Chicago Bears, rumored to have been shopping the number one overall pick, have traded the number one overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for the ninth overall pick, the 61st overall pick, a first round pick in 2024, a second round pick in 2025, and the kicker here is wide receiver DJ Moore. Holy cow. What
Yeah,
a trade.
l- I want to give you my hot take really quick on this. All right, I
I need all the hot
absolutely,
takes.
I hate this for Chicago.
Really?
Yes, let me tell you why. Now their offense is set, right? They've got Chase Claypool, they've got DJ Moore, so your outside's taken care of. Now Darnell Mooney can be exclusively in the slot, which is where he belongs. You've got Cole Kmet. Awesome. You finally given Justin Fields what he needs to be successful. That is a win. But at number 9, they've taken themselves out of the conversation for a lot of the top tier defensive players. I would have loved um, either like Jalen Carter would have been great with them. I think Will Anderson would have been great for them, but they're completely out of that range now. And so the biggest hole on that team is defensive line.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. But honestly, it looks like Jalen Carter's probably going to fall to 9, to be honest with you. Especially with all
I hear
the current
rumblings about
situations.
Atlanta at 8 for Jalen Carter.
Would not be surprised, considering the defense they do. But I'm just kind of going through the PFF like big board here. I mean, you
Sure.
Tyree Wilson's a possibility. Devin Witherspoon's now a possibility. Christian Gonzalez, I think they'll definitely like, but I think they'll like Witherspoon more often. But Peter Skoronsky, they can get O line help. Boom, done at the number 9 pick, and just say, look,
Right.
defense, we can either buy with our cap space, and let's just be honest, like if you're looking at Zadarius Smith going into free agency, Darius Slay's looking for a trade now. That it's a lot easier to fill the defense with veteran pieces. And then with the offense, they can start looking at building some foundational pieces for Justin Fields. This is my first
True.
hot take is that Justin Fields, keep him in the top 5. Just keep him in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, I will
Because
say he has no excuse for next year.
exactly. And what they've done, I think it's very smart, is that they've essentially said, look, Justin Fields, you are the guy until you're not. And when you have DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, and they have made these high price like acquisitions for them, minus Mooney, they're like it's you have to be the guy. Like there's no excuse now.
Right.
Plus Cole Kmet, and then we'll figure out what they do with the running backs, but they'll probably draft a running back this year. So this leaves Chicago right now with the number 9, number 54 from the Roquan Smith trade to Baltimore,
Uh-huh.
61 and 64. So in the first, you have 4 picks in the first 65. So
That's insane.
it's very much insane, and it's a lot of chances to kind of hit on either building around Fields or just building the team overall.
Now, let
Uh,
me ask you a question, right? So Monty is a free agent.
yes.
Do you think he resigns?
No. And I think Chicago's been very upfront about that. So that's the big thing. I think you're going to see a high draft pick on a running back. Not first round, but definitely in the second round consideration. Or they'll just wait till the later rounds. I think they've been very intent on building the running backs through the draft. It looks like it's going to be Khalil Herbert's team as of right now next year, unless they get someone really nice that falls.
Right.
But within a dynasty, let's think of this in dynasty terms. So Fields, hot, sky high. You have to feel great about Fields. But
Yeah,
DJ,
he's a top six QB.
at least, yeah, top six, not six, most likely back to where he was at five. But now this is where it gets interesting. How do you feel about DJ Moore now?
Oh man, I don't. I really don't
Because
know. I
now,
think this trade is insane.
because I mean, let just thinking about it here is yes, he's going to be a wide receiver one for sure, but you have to think that Claypool, it's either going to be DJ Moore at the top, but then Claypool and Mooney go all the way down to where,
Well, I mean, I think it's DJ Moore and Mooney's team.
yeah, I think Claypool's a little too on or off to make it possible for him to stay fantasy relevant. I think if you have Mooney like I do in Dynasty, I am thrilled because this
Yeah,
opens him up for deep shots and just that speed that you can't teach. And Justin Fields can hit the deep ball.
right.
I think with Monty, this is great news. Not Monty, sorry. With DJ Moore, also great news because you this is the best quarterback that he's actually going to be with. And I think this purgatory that you've had with DJ Moore for like this year and past years, it can very much be alleviated. And now you're talking about if we just talk about their division because they'll have to play them 6 times. Detroit is looking like the best team. The Vikings still have to figure out their defense, and then Aaron Rodgers is gone,
Yeah,
reportedly. So now you're looking into this situation and going, wow, DJ Moore could actually be more than a top 20 receiver. We can talk about top 10 wide receiver talent. And for someone who's, I mean, I've painfully believed in him for so long, but now it actually seems like a reality this time.
yeah. I mean, I'm definitely excited to kind of watch the beginning of the season. I don't want to say anything too bold yet because it is still DJ Moore we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right that there is a lot of hope for him because of just the situation, you know?
Yep. Especially with the situation. I mean, we've seen they were literally think about Chicago's offense last year and realize they were still able to like stay competitive in games. It's just either the defense faltered or just a timely error on the offensive side. And now you're once they figure out defense, they have all this cap space. This gets very interesting for Chicago next year to where I think
Yeah.
there's a couple players you have to like focus on, but like overall, you have to pay attention to Chicago when it comes to on a fantasy scale. I think
Yeah.
we have bigger questions though on the other side of things because Carolina has an issue. They have the number one pick. Great. Who is your number one pick throwing to? Because at this point, you don't make this trade unless it's for a quarterback.
Right.
To which, so now who do you think? You think it's going to be Anthony Richardson
I
at number
mean,
one?
I want to wait and see kind of what the GM for Carolina comes out and says about who they're looking at before I say it's Anthony Richardson. I think there's a lot of talent there. I think you can justify it kind of how, last year they took, oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
I
They took,
because
what's his name from Georgia because of the talent. I think you can make the same justification for Richardson just off the talent alone.
Yeah, so I think Richardson is definitely if you're looking at his tape from Florida, there's a lot of stuff to like. I haven't fully gone into it to where it gives like my full opinion yet, but it would have been a pretty good match in Carolina. Um
Yeah.
Ryan literally just texted us and says it looks like DJ Moore found out through Twitter.
Oh no.
Yikes.
Oh
Yikes.
no.
So here's what sucks for Carolina. So I personally think, and I didn't think about this, Josh McCown is the QB's coach for Carolina. And he did a video beforehand talk, talking about how much he loves CJ Stroud as a quarterback. I would not be surprised if the pick is Stroud.
I mean, I
However,
don't hate, you know.
go for it, Ethan.
I said I don't hate that for them. I just, if they're going to make a decision, they have to be really firm one way or the other.
Yeah, because I think so. So here's the prop. So here's why this trade is so big, and we'll go into the macro scale of it in a very quick second. So I think it's Stroud or Richardson. It's not Bryce Young. It's not Levis. It's going to be those are going to be most likely your top two quarterbacks going. This trade
Right.
also makes the number 2 pick very enticing. And I know Houston wants a quarterback, but they may have to actually respond to some trade calls. It also makes Arizona's number 3 pick very interesting, considering they don't have a lot of cap space. So they will have to do some
Yeah.
trades to kind of open up cap space. And we've been talking about DeAndre Hopkins for so long.
Yeah. So I definitely think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be gone. So Arizona's not going to have to worry about that. They are still going to have to make some moves. But if I'm Houston, I'm in the perfect position because if at number 1 they don't take my guy, no harm, no foul. If they take my guy, and I know that I can get a king's ransom and still get somebody else that I still like, but a little bit later, I'm entertaining that offer.
You have to, considering like the Texans roster is just it's just not there. Like one pick is not going to be the difference. It will be a great
Right.
foundational piece, but it won't. You need more picks to kind of like fill out the team, and especially in D'Amico Ryan's image. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Houston has to be starting entertaining offers on the for number 2 overall. Arizona will definitely be entertaining number 3. Number 4 is the Colts. How scared are you about the Colts now? Like, how scared do you have to be if you're the Colts? You're like, crap. Carolina
If
just shot everyone.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Colts, I'm calling Arizona.
Yeah, no, if I'm the Colts, I'm calling Houston.
You have
Oh, I mean, you kind of have to call Arizona because I don't think Houston will allow that.
No, because so if the pick is Stroud at 1, I don't think that upsets the Texans at all. I think they're going Bryce Young. I think they're
It
sold
would
out on
make
him,
sense. Yeah, I would agree with
which would
that.
then leave Anthony Richardson for the Colts, which would be a really interesting fit.
Well, that would be perfect, especially for the dual threat aspect of Shane Steichen.
Right. So maybe shades of Andrew Luck,
Possibly.
but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see with that on a macro scale. If we're not going to talk about like um rookies, this firmly takes both and Carolina and Chicago out of the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes.
Right. So who does
So
that leave?
I mean, Atlanta said they're not doing it, which I go back and forth on whether Atlanta's serious. Miami just announced some restructures, and I think that's the team that I am most terrified about making a move, even with picking up Tua's 5th-year option.
Okay.
And the only reason why is because it makes the trade easier. If you pick up the option, obviously this is year 4, so there will be some finagling you have to do with the cap. But you just opened up almost 10 million, I believe, with Terran Armstead and almost 18 million with Tyreek Hill. I know you have to
Yeah.
sign other players, and you have to prepare for like Christian Wilkins and a couple other people, but they could make a move post draft. And I don't know if there's something issue that is with Lamar and the Ravens. That's the
I don't know.
one team I'm afraid of.
I think
But
logically speaking, the only team left that makes sense for Lamar would be Atlanta.
yeah, I do think Atlanta could do it. The question is, does you have to have an offer that beats the Ravens? Atlanta's roster is filled with holes. Really, the only way they can get Lamar right now is if you add an extra 30 mil. And will it and does basically roughly 30 million in cap space help fix the rest of the team? I think would be the big question. On top of that, do you want to get into cap purgatory again with a quarterback? Because that's what they escaped with Matt Ryan, and they almost did the same thing with Deshaun Watson. The fact that they were basically the runner up last year for Deshaun Watson,
Was
no,
the biggest.
even if they say no, even if they said no, I have one eye open at night thinking about Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, I knew Atlanta wasn't going to go fully guaranteed. I do believe on that.
Yeah, they will
Um,
not go fully guaranteed.
right, which is smart to say, hey, here's our offer. It's a good one. Take it or leave it.
Yep, exactly. And I wonder if that's why teams were so fast to say no to Lamar,
Yeah,
because it's like,
I
okay,
think
you're
it's the
countering.
fully guaranteed. Yeah,
I I mean, I haven't fully like talked about this yet, like publicly, but I think it's partly fully guaranteed, but also partly none of the GMs are going to entertain the idea of doing a deal with the NFLPA. And I
yeah.
do think the NFLPA did cost Lamar millions.
I mean, yeah. I just that whole situation is so interesting to me because Lamar doesn't want to be there. Like, let's call it what it is. He doesn't want to be there. They're forcing him to stay. There's not many teams left that make sense. I mean, maybe the Jets, but even that is a stretch.
The Jets are going for
I,
Rodgers.
yeah. So I mean, Jets are going for Rodgers. Atlanta wants to keep their cap. I think I think Lamar sits out.
I think there's a very real possibility of that. I also I can also see Lamar coming back to take the best offer that the Ravens have given so far. The thing is that we're getting no information and both sides are being very tight to the vest. So there's just been a lot of like speculation out there. And so that's the
Which
one thing. Yeah,
that
it's
right there is how you know something is really going on. Is when there's nothing coming in.
yeah. And I also think the big thing is, and I think what's actually hurting both sides is the fact that nothing's coming out. I think we already know the NFLPA leaked, I believe it was 6 years, 274, 133 million at signing. And then I think the total guarantees was around 180. They said they put out a better offer than that, according to Josina Anderson, which goes to I would assume 190, just shy of 200. I personally I think 210 210 million guaranteed will be the sweet spot. I think that will satisfy both sides. But overall, now I mean within the context of this trade, Atlanta is now the only team that can pull that off. Carolina has basically said, we're kind of done. Um, we're not going to entertain Lamar Jackson here. And I mean, even if they were to do that, even if they were to say, okay, we're going to get Lamar and give up the number one, you're still pairing Lamar with almost nothing at receiver. Your best receiver right now is Terrace Marshall. So that's where it doesn't make sense for me either. But
Yeah,
so they have so Carolina has pick 1 and pick 39. And so that's where I go, no, you're rebuilding. I don't think Frank Reich wants to go play the veteran quarterback carousel again, even if it is Lamar Jackson. Because that's the thing that got him fired in Indy. So at this point, both those teams are out. We're looking at the Falcons, Miami, maybe, and that's about the only two teams you could think of. So this was a huge pendulum swing when it comes to not only who's going to who's like who has number 1, which rookies are we excited about now with going to speculation on which team they're going for, and then also the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. This trade literally just changed the 2023 NFL season in a heartbeat. we might have lost Ethan. I mean, he's probably in the dead zone at the moment. But yeah, I mean, just kind of recapping everything because all of this is just like initial reaction. Bears get weapons for Justin Fields. Great. It helps them focus on either O line help for Justin
Yeah,
Fields and paying. Oh, we're back. Nice.
yeah. I mean, off season is coming up quick. There've been a couple of moves, but we're going to see a lot more.
Dang it, we might have lost them again. But I kind of expand. Their free
You
agency's
towards the end
coming
of
up.
March.
Yep. Yeah.
Am I
So
back? I'm
yep,
back.
you
I'm
are
not back.
back. You are back. You're kind of going through a dead zone at the moment. But to kind of recap the trade, Chicago gets a massive haul for the first pick in the draft. DJ Moore is a huge get to help Justin Fields, and that completes the trio of Mooney, Claypool, and Moore. On the fantasy side of things, keep Justin Fields with a very high like potential for this year, definitely within the top 6 for sure. And DJ Moore, I think you can start legitimately talking even going better than top 20. For Carolina, they are completely rebuilding. So they traded McCaffrey this year, the DJ Moore trade, and now they're going to bring in a quarterback who doesn't have a receiver. So even if they take like your the best QB you think in the draft class, I mean personally right now I'm still going to say Stroud. Say they pick Stroud, say they pick Anthony Richardson, there's still not enough help there around him. So very much we're looking at a year 2 or year 3 evaluation for that quarterback specifically because the help is not going to be there. And then within the macro scale of it, when it comes to free agency, as that's about to come up literally in 5 days or starting Monday, I actually think, that this puts the Bears and the Panthers out of the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. So now all these teams that have said no, but they might secretly come back, that kind of leaves Atlanta being the only team with the cap space and knowing that they've gone for Deshaun Watson uh, in the previous season, that they still might be a legitimate candidate for Lamar Jackson. So that it actually clarifies a lot of things. So when Carolina said they were out, they were really out on Lamar Jackson, but it's because they knew they had the number one pick in hand. This is going to be a huge talking point coming into the year because this changes so many things and perceptions of what we have. I think unfortunately we lost Ethan, so we're gonna have to sign off. But this is the emergency podcast for the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. We will be posting up more updates as we can, especially when it comes to free agency and when it comes to everything else. Tomorrow, you will actually get to see one of our last episodes of Statathon, which is going to be our tight ends, and we're actually going to talk about that position, which that was kind of painful to look back on. But this is Josh. I am your co-host Josh, along with Ethan, the disembodied voice known as Ethan. We will see y'all very soon, and we will go over this trade once the dust settles.